2, 1.
Uh, Good afternoon, YouTubers, subscribers, and friends and alike. It's Grant coming at you from Miles City, Montana. I just got back on this video. Technically, we've done videos before that, but I'm going to go back and tell you about the Nutfarm bus I came up on. So I left Rapid City, South Dakota after delivering a truck. And when the Jefferson Lines bus showed up, the two orderlies that came off the bus and the driver come up to me and said, just to let you know, we have some special people on board that we're keeping an eye on. And if at any time you don't feel comfortable on the bus at any of the stops, you can get off and Jefferson Lines will refund your ticket and give you a voucher for a different day. Or whatever other day you want to do. They're fine, they're not going to do anything to you. But they are people coming from, they ain't say Nutfarm, but basically I'm going to say the Nutfarm south of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And they are being transferred to places in Wyoming and then over in Montana. So they're going to be picking up some people and dropping off some people on the bus. We'll have them in the back of the bus, all of themselves, and then if you have to use the restroom, just let us know and we'll just kind of let you go through there. And don't talk to anybody that's got the white blanket on, because they're not right in the head. The other ones are just kind of special. And so that's what's going on today, and you just sit in front of the bus and everything will be fine. And I said, okay, fine, I'll go do that. They dropped off a special guy and had to get like a bunch of his bags out at the Rapid City drop-off location I was getting on at. Then we went to Spearfish, and I can't remember. They dropped off one or two people there and picked up one or two special people there. But they brought a cooler on board that had medication, drugs, and then they had the choice of taking the drug and the drink, themselves voluntarily, or the orderlies, I'll call them, the two people that are there watching them, were trying to talk them into taking their sandwich for food. You want some food, you want this, you want that. And by this point, I noticed the people that were covered in the white blanket, they were already higher than a kite the whole time. They had them drugged out. So they were so drugged, they just ate whatever sandwiches the orderlies gave them. The other ones that were just special in the head were taking their pills and taking the drink. Or some of them would just take the sandwich if they were hungry. But they knew in their head that it was medication, but they were basically knocking them all out. So then we got to Gillette, Wyoming, and they did that again. Same thing, they medicated them, put on more people, put off more people. Then we got to Buffalo, Wyoming, which is the intersection between the Denver bus coming up north to meet the west and eastbound buses. So we had an express aero bus that we had more people get on with, and then the Nutfarm people. But on this particular deal, one of the passengers from the express bus started making fun of the people because they'd just been told the whole thing that I was told in Rapid City of what's going on and so what the situation is. As soon as they got on the bus, this guy and this girl, they started making fun of these guys and asking the orderlies, is it true those sandwiches have drugs in them and blah, 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 blah. The one orderly stood up and said, you know what? I'll give you one of those sandwiches for free. Right here, for free. If it'll shut you the hell up, because it'll knock your ass right out if that's what you want. That's how mad that couple made the orderlies. That were, And then the bus driver, as we're heading out, bus driver gets on the overhead mic, which is the only time he's done that the entire trip, which normally Jefferson Lines tells you what the stops are and all this other stuff, but this time they didn't because they're trying to keep these guys sedated and asleep. But he got on the overhead speaker and said, those of you who are not with the with the South Dakota Department of Corrections or the Wyoming Department of Corrections or something labeled private company thingy, which I'm not going to blow on YouTube, but if you're not with any of those three, you need to take a seat and shut up and not talk to these other people and act like your mama should have taught you, is how he put it. Because your trip will end right here, right now, if you act up again with making fun of these guys. You need to take a seat. So just from that overhead speaker thing, you could tell that whatever those Department of Corrections things must be paying 3 times what a regular passenger is, because they rolled out the red carpet. Jefferson Lines did for whoever that deal is, the Nutfarms.
And nothing wrong with people like that. It's just the way the cost savings.
Yeah, well, yeah. And so we didn't have any other problems, and then I only got about an hour's sleep into Billings. Got off the bus in Billings, they had a 4-hour layover there. And they took the regular passengers off first, and then they drove across the parking lot, and they offloaded all the Nutfarm people into 2 separate passenger vans and took off with them south of Billings somewhere. But while I was on the bus, when the orderlies were telling the lady behind me that so if if these guys are too problematic at the institution that they're in, what they do is they move them around to a new institution to meet new people and new place and everything, because that calms them down or whatever. So they don't get in their habit. They don't know where they're at or nothing. They get too scared to act up. So that's what they're doing with the white blanket ones. They're moving them around. And the white blanket ones are pretty much in there for life. They're just going to be moved around between different institutions. But they're too mentally ill to ever be out in society. The ones that were in regular clothes and everything, they were going home to visit family or possibly being signed out or whatever. They were voluntarily signed in by their family through a medical deal.
Or they signed themselves in.
Yeah. The white blanket ones were criminally charged. And instead of going to prison, they were on the bus at the mental institution. And will be there. Some of them will be there for life, they said. But they're not harmful to society, I guess, so they can be allowed to be on a passenger bus going across South Dakota. That's what they said. And then they also had a white van that was following behind us that was full of people that were not allowed to be in society. That followed all the way to Billings, that had the medication and stuff for the guys that were on the bus. So it was a very interesting Jefferson Lines experience. It's the first time I've ever really had a problematic Jefferson Lines bus. The rest of the time, Jeffy's pretty much been like the best kind of bus line you can get on versus like Greyhound and all the other stuff. And then I waited the 4-hour layover in Billings and then came up here in Mound City and had about an hour of sleep before coming up here in Mound City. And that's how I got here this time around.
And then I got there for me to pick him up because he thought he's going to stay there until 10 to contact me, and I got there 6:25.
Oh,
6:22 in the morning.
I up early. I was fast asleep. By the time the guy yelled Miles City over the radio over there, because that was a regular Jefferson Line bus that didn't have anybody on it. Had me and some people going to Montana on it, and going into North Dakota on it. So they didn't have the Nutfarm on that second bus, and so he announced Miles City, and that's what woke me up, startled me awake, or I would have been up ahead of time and contacted him. I was going to sneak into Miles City and then just contact airplane 312 like around 10 or 11 o'clock at a decent time and just hang out.
And I say, fuck that. I say, I'm going to be there.
I didn't expect him to be here early, so thank you for that. But that's the story of the Nutfarm.
I asked him what time, and it says 6:30 and stuff, so okay. Yeah. And I just messaged him, say, is there a new location? Because normally the location is pretty much the same location for the bus and stuff.
And I would have had more video of it. I'll display a little 6-second video of the front of the bus after I got on it. But then they politely asked me, they know it's public, that I could video and record if I wanted to. But at the same time, they will ask the driver to drop me off wherever if I continue to video. Because they wanted to help keep the patients private. Which I wasn't videoing the patients anyway, but I have a 6-second thing I'll put in front of the clip of this video of just the bus being on it in the front of the part of the bus, not the Nutfarm part.
And for him and stuff, for the protection, for the privacy, even though he can have legal rights to do that, he wants to be
yeah, well, maybe I didn't want to get kicked off at the next stop, which I got the feeling from that the orderlies kind of had control of that bus. With the contract deal with Jefferson Lines, and I would have been kicked off and given a different free ticket for the next day or whatever. Like they told me, like they warned us all up right in the beginning.
Yeah, and with Grant stuff, he almost was tempted to take one of those sandwiches to be knocked out so he could sleep.
Well, yeah, I didn't want to try that. It'd be too sketchy. I don't know if I'd wake up in a nut farm if I did that or what. He was mainly only passing it out to shut that guy up because that couple, that guy and that girl, were making fun of him. So to get his point across, that's why he said, "I'll give you that for free if you just shut the hell up, because it'll knock your ass right out if you want it. Here you go."
So he knows what it is.
Well, they finally gathered the seriousness of the situation, especially since the orderlies pretty much said they could get the driver to just drop you off wherever and be stuck there if that's what you want to do. And they shut up from there, but they were making fun of him. I didn't overhear exactly what they were making fun of, but I got the gist that they were making fun of him. as they walked by, like the guy went to the restroom and said something to the white blanket guy just because the people had told him not to talk to the white blanket guy, and the white blanket guy said something about a light. And then the guy made fun of him. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. It's right before we got to Billings when I was asleep. Dead asleep, the dude in front of me turned on the overhead light for the bus so he could catch something in his bag or whatever, you know, the little overhead thing. Some insane guy in the back of the bus goes, I want that light, I want that light. And then the orderly's like, you have a light, whatever it is, with the orderly's back there with his phone light saying, what do you need, what do you need? And I'm like, no, I want that light. And the orderly's like, okay, so he touches the front overhead light on top of the insane guy, thinking that'll get him attention back here, you know, in the back of the bus. They go, no, I want that light. And he's just yelling and screaming all the way down the thing. And had he not been a Nutfarm passenger, that driver would have been like, shut the hell up, it's the middle of the night, you know. But that driver didn't say nothing about that, but that guy was just screaming, I want that light, I want to go with that light. So that was my last 10 minutes getting into Billings. We all had to listen to that guy just continuously saying that. And orderly back there, do you want some dinner? Do you want some food? Do you want some drink? He was trying to drug him up, I think. But here's a light. Here, play with this light. Here's my phone. No, I want that light. So, but, you know, all you can do is pray for those people, you know, that are just too far gone in the head. And apparently he wasn't drugged up enough or something.
Or if he was really good.
Maybe he was drugged. Yeah, maybe he's really drugged up enough. But I don't know, something about that guy turning on that overhead light. And the funniest part was the dude in front of me. He keeps looking back, going, and you can just tell the look on his face, like, oh shit, I should have turned the fucking light on, because now I'll never hear the end of it. You know, he's the embarrassment of the regular bus passengers. Because now we're all having to hear, I want that light, I want that light.
Thank God he did it in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, so we had to listen to that shit for 10 minutes. Just like a repeated record. I want that light, I want that light, no, I want that light. Let's go up there, I want that light.
What about this light? That light?
We all didn't know if the guy was, you know, the insane guy was going to get up and try to push that orderlies out of the way, or what all was going to happen. The one other orderly was getting on the radio to the guy in the van behind there that they have a problem. The van that was following us. But we made it onto Billings, but we were wondering, and the bus driver was wondering if he's going to have to pull over or what. But we made it, and they took that guy off. Well, they took everybody off from Billings. They went somewhere south of Billings. But that was the best part of that video, I guess. I about forgot to include it. That's the only acting up that they did, really. The rest of the time, they're just pretty much snoring until that guy made fun of them. And then the light thing happened. But I would not want to be that passenger way up in front of the bus being like, oh God, I should have not turned the light on. I didn't know that was going to happen.
They probably try every other light. Nope.
Yeah, the orderlies tried a few other lights to try to get him to concentrate back there in the back of the bus. But nope, he wanted that light way up there. He mostly wanted to go up front of the bus once he saw the little light come off. And I think probably all he would have wanted to do was go up there, look at the light, and go back. I think, probably.
If that was the case, it would have probably...
But we'll never know. But that's probably would be my guess. He wanted to go up there, look at the light, and then go back. Maybe they could have talked him into going back to the back of the bus. I don't know. But anyway, that's the video of the fun story of how I got here. Like and subscribe, leave comments. We'll catch you in the flip.
Peace out.